Hello and welcome. Today we've got Jack McMahon from CMT who will outline AI and how it's used in the auto industry from a repair and assessment perspective.
Let's jump into it.
With 30 years experience in auto logistics and state-of-the-art locations in 5 major Australian cities, Precar Fleet Services are a premier all-in-one solutions provider for commercial vehicle fleet operators, leasing companies and original equipment manufacturers. Please visit precar.com.au and click on the link to Fleet Services.
Jack, thanks very much for joining us today. Great to have you on the show. You specialise in artificial intelligence. Can you explain to us in simple terms what is artificial intelligence and how does it apply across automotive?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John. I think there's a massive piece of AI that we just do machine learning, and we integrate with conversational AI. Dealers are using conversational AI because it's just, or they're starting to. Some of the good ones are. So, look, I mean, I'm an expert in my field. I'm not an expert in AI in general, but I'm happy to give my opinions on it. So, I guess the way I like to explain it is there's 2 parts of AI. So you have machine learning AI, and you have conversational AI. And I remember it was 12 months ago, I was at NADA and someone said chat GTP to me and I couldn't even pronounce it, let alone knew what it was. So we've been in the computer vision, artificial intelligence, machine learning space since we started CMT Scanner in 2018, which in my world, it's gathering that data and then being able to program it. So computer programming with that data, and then when you have new input coming in to that data library, having it know that that's a certain part of what it already knows, and then adding to it as it goes. So self-learning is the way I see the difference between computer programming and AI, because there's probably a bit of confusion in that space just with the buzzword of AI at the moment. So in our world, as a car drives through, it's a different car, but it's the same characteristics of an imperfection, so a dent or a scratch or whatever it may be. So it knows that that's still a dent, but it's on a different environment of a different car. So, and then it kind of puts new information into the system, which it's self-learning and getting better and better. So, for example, we had a client who wanted to start looking for insects on vehicles. So there's no way we know what every single insect looks different. So it was a point of having a library database to start with, and then having it become more and more accurate over time, which doesn't take long. For 4 to 5 weeks, we're starting to get her up around the 70-80% accuracy mark of computer vision. And that's, I guess, our world of AI, the fact that we can have the computer work within a realm, and it gets smarter within that realm by self-taught. Whereas what you've got at the moment, which is quite a hot topic, conversational AI, and with ChatGTP in the last 12, 24 months, that's become really well known, and we do work with that. That's how we see what we see, and then we communicate it with the driver of the vehicle through conversational AI. And I think when we're talking about the automotive space, I think there's a lot of opportunity there with conversational AI. There's probably a lot of information flying around for people at the moment, and they probably want to know what to grab. So I guess the way I see it is it'll probably just improve the customer journey. So you can start making inquiries at 9 p.m. at night about the features of a vehicle, and it'll come back and talk to you about the features of the vehicle. It'll book you in the next day for a test drive. And it'll ask those questions that what we traditionally, I guess, we used to not be able to speak to anyone. And then we started speaking to Kathy the bot, but you spoke to Kathy the bot and she didn't really answer your questions properly. So you end up getting frustrated, and then you may not even call the dealership the next day because you're that frustrated. But we're now at a point where that conversation can happen at 9 p.m. at night. I think that's giving a lot of value for dealers in the automotive space.
Because to me, I get quite frustrated often talking to a bot or a non-human. You feel you want to talk to some sort of human and get some sort of engagement. Do you think that will eventually replace a human, even at 9 o'clock at night?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's definitely not there yet. That's for sure. And I don't think we'll ever be without human connection. I think it'll make us a lot more efficient. So, like for example, with our technology, you can drive your vehicle through and get a condition report. So that service advisor on the driveway is not worried about taking images; they're worried about connecting with you as a person. So I think it'll just I hope it'll make us more connected and more efficient. So I don't think we'll ever be without human conversation, but I think in times where we can't get it, I think we'll achieve the outcome we want, probably tangibly, but probably not emotionally.
I think it's going to be interesting. If you look at, I've got a couple of, I suppose they're not millennials, what's the Gen Zs? So they don't like speaking to human beings. So as that generation goes through and becomes car owners and interacts with businesses, etc., these will be people that would rather use the phone to communicate with messaging as opposed to speaking. And I see this technology actually really being embraced by the future generations. John, dinosaurs like you and I still like talking to people, still like doing the face-to-face bit. But, if you look at anyone I'd say probably sub 25, they don't like talking to humans. Everything is done electronically or digitally, and this technology will make their life so much easier. And I think it'll help them engage more with the industry, because there's this fear of, oh my God, I need to talk to someone. Oh, they're going to rip me off, or I don't trust them. They will trust the AI more than they'll trust a human being.
It's like the early days where you'd trust Google more.
Yes.
Than you're speaking to someone. It's probably just going to be the evolution of that, right?
Correct. If someone makes a statement, I'll just double check it on Google to see whether you're right or not. So that's I see this as being a big leap forward, and mainly for the next wave of people coming through, the next wave of automotive owners and users. Because that's the other key word, John. Not necessarily owners anymore. Yeah, you're going to have a generation of users.
I was in a dealership the other day where it was a virtual reality. I'm thinking augmented reality, but virtual reality test drive. So they could drive different cars put a headset on and drive it. There's not so much AI, but it makes you think that there's definitely some change coming.
But I think especially getting into those new markets where it'll be very much similar to a rental market where you're just using the vehicle, or even Carshare.
Correct.
Because who damages that car? So when you return the car to Carshare, if there's a scanner there, you drive it through the scanner and you park it, and then you don't have, then it's definite proof of who scratched the car, or who damaged it, or whatever. Whereas now, that's what I'll be nervous to be part of a Carshare scheme, because you just don't know who's damaged the car and how you're going to prove it.
It's always an uncomfortable conversation. Even when you rent a car, they say, if there's any damage, just let us know. And you're going out there in that mind frame of, I don't trust you to start with. So you're going around looking for damage. So it's even when you rent a car from a reputable company, you're kind of on the back foot already. So definitely having AI looking for those imperfections just creates more consistency, transparency.
Because even, I've rented a car many times, especially traveling for business so much, and you're going around and you're taking photographs of the car when you pick it up, and then when you return it, you're doing the same. And then even after that, they contact you a day later and say, but there was a ding in the car, and you said, no, there wasn't. And you have to go dig out your photograph and send it back to them. So, I've got a photograph
John,
of the car.
What kind of driver have you? I've never had that problem.
Yeah, exactly. But those things can happen. So I think that's just having that transparency makes a big difference. And Jack, any other areas in automotive where do you think that the AI is developing or start to take a bigger part in it?
Yeah, like we say, it's just understanding the condition of a vehicle throughout its journey. There'll definitely be a big data, piece for the OEMs for this conversation. When we start actually having a really good history of when a vehicle. So, for example, we're starting to play with acoustics. So when a car comes through the scanner, we're starting to hear the fan belt noise, or we're starting to see rust on surfaces. So I think for OEMs because once it leaves the factory, they're kind of they're quite reactive in the way of their warranties. So they do things reactively when someone has a warranty claim. But if they can start to try and now understand, okay, it's getting to this stage, or when it goes to this market geographically, we're going to start seeing, when there's salt on the road in some countries, we're going to start seeing service rust. But we know that, but it's not just, that's kind of like a belief. But once we start having that data, it just makes it all reality and makes it really quantifiable. So it'll move from our beliefs of when a car goes to the beach, it doesn't last as long as when it goes inland. But it'll just put more data around that so we can really start to play with that and understand it tangibly.
So you can actually track, like through the ownership and address, where the vehicles are located, and then start to map condition of vehicles compared to where they're located. So even for insurance companies, that data will be a huge value, saying, well, if you're located near the sea, your insurance needs to be different to if it's located somewhere else or whatever.
This person goes to Westfield often and gets their doors dented, that type
Correct.
of thing. So not so much, I guess, the person, but so much that vehicle in that location. Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Jack, it's been it's another eye-opening conversation. So, no, there's definitely a story to be told, and definitely if we work with you on that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a new world, not just, I guess, it's a new world for the whole industry, for everyone. This AI, we've had such a rapid last 3 years and EVs and everything coming out all at once. So it's everything's moving quite quickly. So it's not new to, like when I'm speaking to dealers, they see this as like a unicorn product, but it's like, it's new. It's not just new for you. It's new for the whole world, the whole industry. So don't feel overwhelmed by it. Let's just take bite-sized pieces and start using it to our advantage. So the base subscription gives you 500 scans a month. So as I said before, they're kind of bundled into usages, and 500 scans a month for our dealers that are using the dent detection and the condition reporting. And if they start going over that 500 credits that they're given at the start of the month, it's then a cost per scan price that goes down the more they do.
And have you done a return on investment?
They're getting labour savings from not having that person going around taking photos. They're having immediate bottom line cost savings from not having to pay for any damages, false damage claims. And they're also generating money out of PDR. They're well in front just from cost savings, let alone the revenue.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, definitely something that there is a huge future for, and huge potential for so many. And that's the key. It's not just one segment. There's actually, for the users, for the owners, for the services, the service providers. There's just so many pluses for all parties.
That's when we first started thinking about commercializing this product. We just thought it's a win-win-win for everyone that's involved. Which naturally we just thought we have to do this.
Okay, good, Jack. Well, thanks very much.
No, it's been fantastic. Actually, it's been really good. Really good conversation, Jack. Really appreciate your time.
No, absolutely. And appreciate your time too.
Thank you for listening. Hopefully you got as much out of today's conversation around AI and damage reporting and quoting. It's a fascinating subject.
Thanks very much for watching. We'll speak to you again next week.